Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 118 of the Rise Up and Share Your Soul's Medicine podcast. My name is Lisa Espinosa, and I'm so delighted to be here with you today. Today's topic is called Rest Better. So I'm going to talk about what does that mean. And today's episode is really based on a master class that I'll be teaching next week. So if you're watching this in February of 2025, next week I'm teaching a free masterclass called How to Help More, Rest Better, and Be of Greater Service. And so in that masterclass, I will be going into more depth, but I wanted to share here in the podcast a little bit about specifically the rest better part. Okay, and if you want to know more, you can sign up for that free masterclass. You will get the replay for 7 days. I'll put the link in the comment section. So this was really inspired from, well, first to tell you a little bit about myself, if you're new to my work. So I coach women, mostly women, although men are welcome, of course, or any gender identification, to who are helpers. A lot of my clients are therapists. A lot of my clients, that's probably the vast majority, but I also have clients who are retired teachers, who are other coaches. And even if they're not in those professions, because I do have clients that are accountants, that are, marketing geniuses, that are working in the kind of nonprofit sector. All of them have as a common theme this deep desire to help, and to help not just in a regular way, but to really have an impact in their industry, in their field, to share their creative work, their creative solutions, their new paradigms, their presence, right? What I call their unique soul's medicine, right? That medicine that only they can share in that way. And so this year, when I started, last month's masterclass, which was Create Your Breakthrough Year, I really shared how in really every year we're being guided to be of greater service, to step up our leadership, to step up our service, to step up that next level of helping. But when you hear that, when you think about helping more, there can often be a response of fear of like, well, how do I help more? Right? How do I do that and not get overwhelmed and not feel depleted or not get burnt out, or I'm already helping a lot and it doesn't feel sustainable. I don't feel like I can actually increase that. And so that's why helping and resting is so connected. And so I'm going to focus on the resting aspect from the perspective of we need that in order to be able to help more. But what I really want to do in today's episode is correct a misconception about resting. And remember, I'm coming at this from a spiritual perspective, right? From a spiritual lens. So to give a little bit of background, what I mean by that is that yes, we are human. We're humans living here a human life. But more than that, you are a soul, right? And I use the word soul. You might use the word higher self, true essence, divine self. It really doesn't matter whatever word you use. I use the word soul to express that more than a human, you are a divine being. And your soul is infinite, vast, and has you, this little human, right? This human self is an aspect of your soul. And your soul is eternally connected to source, to God, to the divine. And your soul is in a constant state of receiving, of being replenished by the divine. Now, whenever you talk about spiritual concepts, we need to understand that we do the best we can with words, but words are limited. So I'm using these words because it's the best words I can find. But of course, they don't fully convey the vastness of your soul. But if you can visualize, remember, know, okay, wait, my soul is in a constant state of connection with the divine, and is always receiving, is being replenished, is receiving, receiving, and receiving. So my soul actually never gets tired. And I don't mean mine, I mean all of our souls, right? Never gets tired, because your soul is infinite. Your soul's constantly being replenished, is constantly being filled up by the divine. So I know that it's very common to say expressions like, my soul feels tired, my soul feels so heavy. And I understand what that's trying to convey, but it's actually inaccurate. It's not that your soul is tired or feels heavy. Your soul's actually infinite, has infinite capacity, never gets tired. But your human self, of course, our human self does get tired. Our human self can feel heavy with emotions. Our human self can get burned out. But when you remember, and this is part of the practice that you need to remind yourself is, wait, my soul doesn't get tired. And so what does that mean? Then that shifts what resting is actually for. So typically we think, okay, I have finite capacity, meaning there's only 365 days a year, whatever, however they say, 12 months a year, 24 hours in a day, there's only so much I can do. And, there's this amount of energy I have every day, and there's this much amount of things I can do. And so eventually my energy is going to run out, and then I won't be able to do more. Or I can try to push myself, which is where hustling comes in. Push myself, use my willpower, use efforting, work past my what is good for me, but do that. But that's not sustainable because eventually I burn out. So that's like when we look at it just from the human lens. And that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that you use your willpower and just barrel through until you're just like flattened on the floor because you're so exhausted. That's not what this is about. I've done that. Many of us have done that, right? We just didn't know better. We just thought that's how it was supposed to be. What this is about is understanding that if your soul is guiding you to help more every year, right? And again, helping more means many different things. And I'll talk about that in the masterclass. I'll be very specific about what does it mean to help more. The short answer is to add more value, right? If your soul is like every year, every month, every day, every week, every day, you are meant to increase the value you offer to the world. Think about that. And I do believe that is what our soul is asking of us. It's not like, oh, well, now you're this age, so forget it. Your value is going to go down. I know that the world might want to make us feel that way, but that's not true. In fact, on this spiritual journey, you are meant to actually be more valuable the more time passes, because you're meant to learn to access more of your soul's love and light to flow through you. And so when we look at it from that lens, then we know, oh, resting, what it actually is, what it's meant to be from your soul's perspective, is alignment. It's meant to be a practice where you reconnect with your soul's infinite capacity and you learn how to increase that capacity, your human capacity, because you're receiving more of your soul. That's very different than, oh, I have to rest because I just used up all my energy and I'm so tired and let me rest. Because when you do it, when you rest in that way, it doesn't increase your capacity. You'll go back to do the work that you're meant to do and you're still the same level of effective. Whereas when you actually intentionally remember, wait a minute, I'm not just a human. Yay, I'm a soul having a human experience. And if I have a prayer in my heart to be of greater service, to be of greater leadership, to be a way shower, to do it from a place of compassion and love, to be able to be in challenging situations and be the pillar of light, not because I'm being, positive Polly all the time or like burying my head in the sand, but because I'm learning, I have an ongoing practice of aligning with my soul and increasing my capacity. That's a whole different thing. And so for this episode, what I really want you to take from it is that paradigm shift, that mental shift in your mind about what rest is for. In next week's masterclass, I will cover 5 specific, what I'm calling rest imposters, things we do that we think are resting, but actually are not. And I will share 2 very specific practices, simple practices, but powerful practices that can be part of your your rest treasure chest, right? To like, oh, this is what I do to actually align and increase my capacity. But before any of that, what first needs to happen is you need to start practicing the thought, right? Everything starts with our thoughts. So if you start to remember, wait a minute, when I'm tired, and let me back up a little bit. This is really important to share. You want to be really careful of perfectionistic tendencies or self-critic tendencies, because you might hear this and a part of you might think that what I'm saying is being tired is wrong, you shouldn't rest, or if you're tired, you shouldn't let yourself rest. That is not what I'm saying. So this all has to be approached from a place of curiosity and great compassion for your humanity. We do experience getting tired as humans. Of course, I experience getting tired. That is part of the human experience. But what I'm teaching myself and teaching you, what I'm inviting us all to mentor with our soul about is, but I do believe that you can increase your capacity, not by overwhelming yourself or hustling or efforting, but by becoming a, let's call it, better, stronger, more effective vessel for your soul. Because that's how we help more, when we're like these walking ambassadors of our soul, right? As so many of the great masters said, like Jesus and others. Oh my gosh, and I just looked over and there was a hummingbird right outside my window. So we welcome hummingbird medicine. And so, be in the world but not of it. Like, how, think about, all these masters that walk through such challenging times, and even now, right? People that have gone through so many challenges, and maybe you've gone through so many challenges. And yes, we can hustle our way through it. And we've, like I said, I feel many of us have done that. But I can also look back on my life and recognize there was I wasn't just hustling. Hustling wouldn't have gotten me to this point. I was always a very spiritual person. I always had this knowing that I had a soul, even if it wasn't fully developed. And I knew, I felt that deep spiritual connection that connected me to an increased capacity that I couldn't logically understand. Now, I couldn't verbalize it that way. I at 19, I had a child, and then I just was sharing. Actually, I don't think I ended up sharing this note in my newsletter, but I can look back on that age, being 19, having a baby, deciding I still wanted to complete college, and then having 4 more children. And just like, I look back on that part of my life, how much I had to do, and then becoming a teacher, and then getting a divorce, and then deciding, after 10 years, I was going to leave teaching and start my own business. There's a lot. And yes, even though I can look back and recognize there were times where I absolutely hustled and I was trying to rely on my own human strength to do things, and that led at times to burnout, I can also look back and recognize, oh, but a lot of those times, if I was tapping into my soul's increased capacity. And the difference now is that I consciously know how to do that. Back then it was kind of happening accidentally, or just through like my pure prayers, which were very powerful. But now, as I've been doing this work for 15 years now and coaching my clients and really developing and understanding these teachings, I recognize, oh, we can ask to increase our capacity. So back to resting better. Resting better, first and foremost, is you understanding what it means. That it means, oh, resting is not an escape. Resting is not a band-aid because I'm super tired and I used up all my energy. No, resting is an alignment. Resting is meant to be any practice that you can do to increase your capacity. And how do you know it's working? Is that your capacity increases. So for all of you, for example, that are therapists, I'm sure you've had the experience where maybe when you first started being a therapist, seeing 2 clients a day was like, oh my gosh, that was a lot. And then you increase your capacity, right? Then it was like 3 clients, 4 clients, 5 clients, whatever your capacity was. right? And the way you can know you actually increase your capacity is that that doesn't wear you out anymore. It's different if you're pushing yourself to do it. And at the end of the day, you feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like I got run over. That's not increased capacity. That's hustle, right? That's like you pushing from your human strength. But you can, you've probably had the experience. In fact, I invite you to recognize, look back on your life, even in your present life, and notice things that used to wear you out, things that used to overwhelm you, things that used to feel so challenging, and now they don't, because you've increased your capacity. Even if you didn't consciously realize that's what you were doing, that's what was happening. I remember a few weeks ago I do this monthly circle, like a spiritual circle, let's call it. And I taught it, and then I had just a really busy day right after that. It's like a 90-minute, very beautiful class. It's like a ceremony. I had like a little, maybe 20-minute, 30-minute lunch. And then I had a client, and then I had meetings. I had all these things. And at the end of the day, I was thinking, and I was like, I was feeling a little bit tired and kind of checking in with myself. But I realized, wait a minute, when I first started teaching this specific ceremony, which was about 3 years ago, on the days I would teach it, that's all I would schedule. If I knew I had that class, which was a 90-minute or 2-hour class that I was teaching, leading, I wouldn't schedule clients. I wouldn't schedule any meetings. I just would be so tired after the class. And it wasn't like it was a class where I was doing a lot, it was just ceremonial. So I was holding a lot of space. I know there was a lot of like just divine energy flowing through me. I mean, partly I was like, I am a weakling. How could I need to rest after a 90-minute class? But it was just a very different type of ceremony. So I just allowed myself to do that. And I didn't even notice till this last time that I taught it how much my capacity has increased. It just happened without me being consciously aware of it, that now I don't have to do that. I teach the class, and I don't no longer have to take the whole day off afterwards to recover and ground myself and all of the things. It's like my capacity has increased, and it isn't coming from a hustle or pushing place. It was a natural thing. But it's much more powerful. I'm sorry, there are so many birds flying outside my window. Like, and I usually see them far away, but now there was like a dove that just like flew right in front of my window. So we welcome all the bird medicine. And I lost my train of thought, what I was saying. I think what I was getting ready to say is it's much more powerful when you consciously decide, when you consciously say, when you consciously remember, wait, yes, I'm experiencing tiredness right now. So let's do this. When you experience that you're tired, have compassion, acknowledge it. Do not use this against yourself and say, well, my soul never gets tired, so something's wrong with me. No, it's just like, I'm experiencing tiredness. That's normal. I'm having a human experience. And I want to increase my capacity. I want to increase my capacity so that I can add more value with less effort, really, with more efficiency, with more joy, with more energy, with more vitality, to serve more people. You acknowledging that will start to shift things. And then yes, go rest in whatever way you were going to rest. But if you just can acknowledge that, and you can even say, I did a Instagram live last week on this, and then in that moment you could even just say, beautiful soul, teach me how to do that. Mentor me in how to increase my capacity, because I know that you actually never get tired. And I know that you're guiding me to have greater and greater and greater impact on the world. And I want to learn how to do that. And if you're someone who in the past has experienced burnout, or maybe your body's even recovering from that, or and the masterclass next week will really help you, because along with the resting imposters, I'm also going to identify the 5 helper archetypes. I call them false helper archetypes that we all fall into, that are actually what lead into overwhelm and lead us to get burnt out. And so when I identify those, and you can start to see like, oh gosh, yeah, that's one of my patterns, Again, not to judge yourself or shame yourself, just to have clarity. So, but if you have had that experience like I have of becoming overwhelmed or burnt out, remember that as you do this, you're not asking to repeat that. I know that a lot of us have gotten so scared of burnout and overwhelm that we've stepped back from our leadership. I know for me, and I want to be really mindful about how I say this. There are absolutely times when that is appropriate. When you're recovering from an illness, when you're recovering from emotional overwhelm, absolutely there will be times where the more conscious and intentional and compassionate you can be with yourself during that time, the faster it will go, right? When you recognize, okay, I'm really being guided to slow down. I've talked about that many, many times. When I left my career as a teacher and to start my own business, to become a coach, I mean, I didn't even know that's what it was going to be at that time. Suddenly, my body had all sorts of weird symptoms. I had never been a sickly person ever. But I also know that I just didn't have time to get sick. I had 5 little kids. I was getting a divorce. I was a teacher. I mean, I was just like, go, 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 go. And as soon as I left teaching and my body and soul knew, all right, she has time now. Her kids are a little older. Now we can purge all the stuff that has been in there. And so started a long journey of healing autoimmune stuff and things like that. So it was very appropriate at that point for me to slow down. That's what my soul was literally pushing me at that point to do. But I still stayed connected. That's what was different. I didn't just shut out, right? It's like I was in a lot of resistance. I didn't want to slow down. So my soul had to keep sending me the same lessons over and over until I finally succumbed and accepted it. But I stayed in communication with my soul. So, again, going back to what I was saying, if you find yourself being tired and you want to increase your capacity, the first step, again, is remembering my soul never gets tired. So, yes, I'm having a human experience of feeling tired, but I want to increase my capacity. I want to be able to share my medicine and not be afraid of overwhelm, not be afraid of burnout. Teach me how to do that. And I'm going to have so much compassion for those parts of me that are like, wait, are you getting us into burnout again? Because I could feel that in me, right? I have to do that work with my parts who are like, wait a minute, we don't want to go back to how it was before, but this isn't, your soul is never guiding you to go backwards. Your soul's always moving you forwards. And so just doing that will start to shift and to shift everything. That's what resting better is. Resting better is knowing what rest is for. Oh, it's to increase my capacity. It's to align with my soul's infinite capacity so that I can do the great work I'm here to do. And so I hope that that is, that there's that as you listen to that, as you hear that, you receive some insight, some clarity. And even notice if there's some fears, journal those, write those down. This would be a great preparation for next week when we do the masterclass, right? Just kind of notice what comes up for you when you think about that, when you think about resting better. And just kind of like notice when you think about helping more, when you think about being of greater service, when you think about resting better, what is coming up. And also to know like, oh wait, and remember, I can mentor with my soul. Your soul is the best coach you can have. And I can't wait to share more of this next week, right? So that you can really have a real deep understanding of this. And rather than slowing down from the sense of slowing down, you sharing your medicine and your leadership, you're actually more in the spotlight this year, whatever that looks like for you. You're going for your dreams, your goals, your divine mission. You're not hiding from it because the world really needs your medicine. Like nobody else has it. I know I say that so many times that sometimes it starts to sound like just like a slogan, but it's not. It's like true. Your unique gifts, your unique medicine, nobody else has. Like no one, even if they have the same training as you, they don't have the same life training as you. And so that's why these are so important. And so next week I'll share that, and I'll also talk about my coaching programs and I'll have a special offer if in case you want to receive some private help with this, right? So I will be putting the link in the comments page. And also, please know you can schedule a free breakthrough consultation. I have some slots still left in February. And again, this is an opportunity to meet with me privately so that I can help you identify what are the actual obstacles in the way of you helping more and sharing your medicine while cultivating a life you love, even when there's challenges, because that is just part of being human. There's going to be challenges. So I know sometimes when I say cultivating a life you love, it might seem like that means, well, that a life that never has any challenges and problems. But that's not what we signed up for, right? It's like, yes, we want to have those joyful, rewarding, beautiful times, of course. And we're also going to have challenges. That's part of, in fact, if you're a helper, I'm kind of digressing a little bit here, but if you're a helper, and if you're watching this, you are, often we signed up to go first, right? To experience a lot so that we can help our clients and students. And so, what we're actually learning to do is how do we experience those challenges with the most peace, the most even joy, and yes, expressing our sadness, all of those feelings that there's nothing wrong with having those feelings, but reducing the suffering, right? And I didn't make this up. I think it's a Buddhist teaching, really, of, pain is part of being a human, but suffering is optional. We're not meant to suffer. And suffer is caused by all the things that happen in our brain when challenging things are happening. And that's part of what I coach my clients through. And that's part of what we're meant to increase our capacity to be in challenging situations and stay very grounded, stay very much in our power and in our light, even as we have the very normal human feelings that we're having. All right, so I just want to pull a card here. And just let's say this is from the soul. No, actually, I was going to do the Keepers of the Light Oracle. And I'm just going to ask, what Keeper of the Light, what divine being is helping you to increase your capacity? Like what divine being is helping you rest better? Let's say it that way. Okay, so let's see what the message is. Isis, magic manifesting. This is what it says. Your dreams, visions, and goals are becoming reality. Stay focused. That's what she's saying, not me. I mean, I'm saying it too, but this is what this card is saying. Your dreams, visions, and goals are becoming a reality. Stay focused. And I find that this card comes in two times. One, when you're feeling it, right? When you're feeling like, yes, I can feel the momentum. And she's saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. And others, you might be having the opposite experience where maybe you were feeling the momentum and something happened and now you're like, wait a minute, am I going backwards? Did it get messed up? Oh no. And she's saying like, no, 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 no. Like stay focused on your goals, stay focused on your vision. Even if there's a little hiccup that happened, it's all part of the plan. All is well, right? That like that Louise Hay awesome affirmation. How does it start? Like, all is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come, and I am safe. That was the great Louise Hay. I didn't make that up, but I say that often, and this card reminds me of that. Okay, look at her. The wings, look at her throat chakra with that ankh, her third eye. Just kind of see what speaks to you in this card. Alrighty, well, I will see you next week. Next Wednesday is the free masterclass, How to Help More, Rest Better, and Be of Greater Service. I hope to see you there. I don't plan on having a podcast episode next week just because I'm doing the masterclass and I have a very full week. I might do some surprise. I'm pretty sure I'll be doing some surprise lives on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram so you can hear those. And of course, sign up for my newsletter if you're not on there. And I will see you very soon. Bye, everyone.